Hello, everyone. As already said, my name is Moshe Korach. I'm from HiNet Systems. We have been focusing almost solely on notification, how to handle and deliver notification in the most effective manner. In my short presentation, I will try to describe some of the challenges and risks that we are facing and what kind of mechanism we have developed in our solution in order to mitigate these risks. I called my presentation Notification, the Final Frontier. What I meant by that is that notification is actually the end of the road. It's the last destination in the message flow, which makes it very, very important to handle. But that was in the past. What we see is more and more organizations moving toward a new concept, which is notification as a new first tier. Meaning that with the help of mobile devices, with the power of mobile app, we can actually send the message to the end user directly and allow him to start working on the message. No need anymore for what is called the man in the middle. No need for someone that needs to make a decision which message go to which person, and of course, you need the right tool for that. So I mentioned a few times the term notification, so let's have a definition first. I took this definition from Zabek's documentation, and it says like this: to inform responsible personnel about occurrence of events using many different channels and options. So we at HiNet System have a slightly different definition, and I will get to it once I will talk about our vision. But for now, let's use this definition to focus on the three pillars of interest when we talk about notification. The first one is the responsible personnel. How can we identify the right person for the right message? What if this person is not responding? The second one is the event itself. The event is the data that we are working with. Can we assume that this data is already fine-tuned to be sent as notification? Just think of, for example, a message from event viewer. Is it ready to be sent via SMS, for example? And the last one is the channel. Since we are aiming to target an individual, each individual has its own favorite channel. And it depends on other factors like time of the day and maybe connectivity and so on. So these are the three pillars. In short, you can say that we are focusing on the who, the what, and the how. So the first challenge is who should receive this particular message, okay? In Zabbix, for example, what you will do, you will create a notification actions and then assign to it users or users group. But what if we want a more granular definition? And I will describe it more later, but if we want to focus on just one part of the message and based on that part make a decision to whom to send. What if this person is not responding? What if this person received the message but not acting upon this message? What if we want to escalate? We want to notify other people. And other thing, what if we want to target a role, not an individual, like in case of on-call duty or where people are working in shifts? Okay, so these are just a basic examples. But what I'm saying is that everything can be fixed by scripts, because I know that this is what is happening currently. People create scripts, create plugins, create, full-blown application to solve this issue. Does it work? In rare cases, maybe yes. From my experience, there are more cons than pros to this approach. The next challenge is sending the right message, the what, the event itself. So once upon a time, monitoring was relatively simple. You had a few hosts to monitor, a reasonable list of alerts to contend with, and even if you wanted a top-notch monitoring, meaning you wanted to do an application-level monitoring, sessions, connections, real user experience, synthetic user experience, whatever, okay? It still was, you were able to control the monitoring results very, very easily. Today, with all the emerging technologies, new technologies like cloud and containers, virtualization, and microservices, and functions, and too many technologies that actually bring transparency to the business, less headache to the business. From monitoring perspective, it's a real headache. And add to it the fact that those technologies sometimes, Alex mentioned Prometheus, for example. Okay? Those technologies sometimes have a different owner. A monitoring team is not the sole owner of the monitoring tools. So different owners means different approaches, different best practices, different interests, and it's getting more and more complex. And of course, I didn't mention other tools like log analytics, big data, you know, all the analytics part. All of these tools, other contexts like security, operation, all of these needs to send notification. And of course, rapid application release cycle. Everyone wants to be agile, meaning there are more changes. Changes brings risks. Risk can create more alerts. Okay? So another thing that when you create more and more alerts, you are likely to have false positive, false negative situations. Okay? It's starting to get more and more very hard to be able to send the right message to the right person. Very hard to define this message and who is the recipient of this message. And from all the above reasons, again, it generates an overwhelming noise, which you probably know is called alert fatigue, and this is the #1 enemy of every IT ops and NOCs. So how did we overcome this problem, the alert fatigue problem so far? So increasing headcount, this is the fastest way. It's good in short term, not in long term. You can also increase screens. You can turn off tools. I've seen that many times when organization starts with what is called a sensitive mode, meaning turning all the monitors on, and it's also called a learning mode. And along the way, they are starting to shut down tools and manually enabling specific monitors. Alert filtering, the same. It's a version of what I just described, that monitors are running, they are generating events, but a user gets to see just portion of the events, like P1 cases, for example. Correlations, there are many types of correlations. And from my experience, some of them are very, very useful to mitigate this risk. But too many correlations tends to have an impact on the system, performance-wise. They are very hard to maintain, and it's also a silo solution. It depends on the technology itself. And relying on customers, although it's considered to be an accurate approach because customer is always right, this is the worst approach, so don't go there. And from a notification perspective, I will just highlight one of these, which is much more important. The end user expectations are totally different than a NOC user. So NOC user is using an event console, okay? But end user, the one that gets the message, is much less tolerance to all these false positive, false negative situations. They have really a short fuse. And that means that you are likely to lose them if they will start referring your message as a noise. If they will lose confidence with the indication that you send them because you send them the wrong message at the wrong time. And of course, you have channel limitations. Okay? Just try to send a message from a event viewer via SMS. Okay, so that was some of the challenges that we are facing. And now I want to focus on some of the features and mechanisms that we have developed in our solution, which is called SNS++, stands for Smart Notification Systems. So let me just skip the marketing part, okay, and to our vision. And this is, you can refer to it as another definition for notification, and it says sending the right alert to the right person at the right time. And we are working very closely with our customers to try to reach this goal. Okay, it's getting again. It's all the challenges. It's like a rising trend. It's always growing, and we are working very hard to fulfill this goal. A few anecdotes about SNS++. It's on-premise installation. In the roadmap of 2020, we are planning to provide SNS++ also as a service. It's a Linux-based installation. We provide it as zip file or as an image. We also provide, this is very important to mention, we also provide free of charge remote installation and also a kickstart setup so you can start immediately using our product. We have pre-existing integrations to some of the well-known monitoring and management systems. We have also pre-existing templates for out-of-the-box alert filtering and automations. And we have a bunch of output channels, output devices. But our best practice is to start working with our mobile app, which is support also iOS and Android, because our mobile app has support all the advanced features that we have. This is a very high-level architecture of our message flow. I will not have time to go deep dive into each part, and not all the parts are here, okay? But let's do a review. At the left, we have all the possible inputs to our system. Okay, we support mail push. We have our own client, which is a command line. We support REST API, and we have all the integrations that I've just described in previous slide. Once the message gets into the system, it's been written to the database, and here a very powerful thing is happening, because the message is being broken into small pieces that we call objects. And this is a big differentiator, because comparing to other solutions that focuses on groups, it can be host group, it can be user group, we are object-oriented. We are focusing on the object, meaning that from now on, everything that you will do in the system, whether it is filtering, correlation, routing rules, everything will be based on object. And that brings very big flexibility to what you can do with our system. About filtering, we have different types of filtering. I just put here two of them, which is the source filter and content history filter. Then escalation. We have two types of escalation. One requires ACK from the user, which means that if the user didn't send any ACK within a specific time frame, then we trigger an escalation. The second type is does not require ACK. It supports different use cases. Some of them is, for example, when I mentioned that our product is an on-premise, so some of the organization does not allow inbound connection to the system. So this is just one case of the second escalation rule. Routing engine is actually using our product as channel. Okay, nothing fancy is happening over here. But the smart routing engine, this is where all the magic is happening because, again, we are working on objects. We can do a very, very complex routing rules referring to any information that is part of the message. And, the output, as I said, we support different output channels. Our best practice is to use our mobile app, which you can start actually working on the event. You can respond to it. You can even open a chat, a war room, and start working with your colleagues in order to investigate and troubleshoot the problem. You can also have visibility to all the duty roster, on-call duty, who is working right now, and so on. And we also support dashboards. You can go to our booth and see some examples. It will give you, in highlights view, what are the statistics, the health of the system, the statistics, how many alerts are coming, what is the state of each alert, and so on. OK, we covered most of the features. One last thing to mention here is the heartbeat monitor. There are cases where you don't want to be passive. You don't want to wait for the alert to come in order to know what is happening. So we support heartbeat monitor, meaning that you find it in real-time cases, real-time devices or real-time applications where the application itself is sending heartbeat, and if we skip heartbeat in a specific time frame, then we want to know about it. So we have this heartbeat monitor. It also has a different use cases when you have a job that starts and you expect to have like a success message. Okay, so if this success message does not appear within a time frame, then again we can use the heartbeat monitor to create an alert from it. And also, this is the ITT Recorder, which is the name of our mobile app. Again, it supports iOS and Android. This is our best practice how to use our product. OK, so thank you very much. That was my presentation. Thank you.